I'm not going to pretend there's no Nintendo favoritism on this channel, and I'm not going to apologize for it either, but there is one element of early video game music that Nintendo lacks, and so has not gotten very much attention on this channel. Game music used to be badass. Separate from Mario's merry melodies and Pokemon's adventurous atmosphere was a world of brawny soldiers shooting big guns, riding motorbikes, smoking cigarettes, and taking your older sister out on dates. Of course, there's only so much a muscle can bulge before it starts eating into valuable pixel space on old game hardware, and so a lot of the badass tone of these games was carried by the music. And the most badass of these soundtracks was supplied by the Konami Kukeiha Club. The KKC was a rotating group of composers that worked for Konami, and while it's not like every member worked on every game, the games that came out in this era all share a distinct sonic identity. Contra, Castlevania, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Gradius. Let's dive in and figure out what gives these big, brawny, badass dudes, and presumably brawny, badass spaceship pilots, their distinct musical identities. Aggressive rhythmic drive seems to be the key to musical macho bravado, but with the NES's distinct lack of double kick pedal or chugging guitar tones, the members of the KKC had to discover other means of musical propulsion. Since melodies were pretty much all the NES sound chip had going for it, the rhythm of the melody became the main concern. That's why you'll find a lot of these melodies based on a rhythm called the Tresillo. Coming from Cuban dance music, the Tresillo generates a ton of rhythmic energy, which is why you'll hear it in basically any exciting music produced in the last 100 years. But rather than hiding in the background in rhythm section riffs or drum grooves, the Konami Kukeiha Club put these rhythms in their melodies. Mad Forest from Castlevania 3 uses a textbook Tresillo rhythm in every voice for an epic driving finale section. Not every melody we look at will be this explicit with its access of the Tresillo pattern. Notice how the addition of an extra approach note to this figure here doesn't detract from the feeling of the Tresillo. Even in decorated forms, using this rhythmic structure as a foundation gives the music forward momentum. We see this in the jungle area theme from Metal Gear. A straightforward Tresillo rhythm carries the melody from each bar to the next, but the bass line also accesses the rhythm by jumping up the octave to line up with the second and third notes of the Tresillo figure. Without these octave jumps, we'd have a galloping bass figure that is very common in early game music and is good at driving the music forward on its own. But adding in these register leaps to outline the Tresillo pattern elevates that rhythmic energy. The music switches up the rhythm quite a bit rather than giving a continuous stream of tresillos, which pulls back on the energy of the phrase a bit. Increasing or decreasing the amount that we lean into the tresillo can increase or decrease the intensity of the music, as we see in the building theme from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. At first, the tresillo comes in the back half of each bar, either in the melody or the bass line. As the music ramps up, we get repeated tresillo figures in both the melody and the bass, sometimes decorated with filled-in 16th notes, but always using the tresillo as a foundation. This climaxes in this great blues scale riff that brings us back down to the top of the loop. The tresillo is not an uncommon rhythm by any means, and the sort of minor key, blues scale shredding rock harmony you find in these tunes is also well-trod territory. But the combination of the two, paired with the chiptune aesthetic of course, creates a completely unique sonic identity for these games. An important variant on the tresillo rhythm is this 16th note to dotted 8th push. What Adam Neely taught us is called a Scotch Snap. It's sort of the reverse of the tresillo if you think about it, like you literally reverse the order of the note values from dotted 8th to 16th to 16th to dotted 8th. A clearer example you won't find than the track Stalker from the original Castlevania. Notice how, after the riff with these pushes is established, the bass continues this figure while the melody comes in with tresillo figures over top. Tresillo rhythms resolve on the second note of the pattern, the note anticipating beat 2. You'll notice that's where the melodic phrases of the last couple of examples all ended. Just imagine a song ending with a big repeated tresillo pattern, and then ending on beat 1. Sounds like it's getting cut off a little bit, but if you end the song on the second note of the tresillo pattern, everything sounds finished. That's how you know that's the point where this rhythm wants to resolve rhythmically. By contrast, the Scotch Snap figure wants to rhythmically resolve on the following beat, so it's actually a perfect match for a hard rock style. The music wants to hit the beat and hit it hard, and using these pushes helps it do just that. Contra's jungle level theme features almost the exact same rhythm as Stalker in this unison breakdown section, building up the tension to a boiling point before exploding down this unison pentatonic riff. The melody section that follows uses these same kinds of pushes too, and it beautifully ramps up the excitement of the melody. You can hear how those pushes make the following beat land harder. I also love how the rhythm of the melody interweaves with the galloping bass rhythm. The two parts don't match rhythmically, but they do both rhythmically want to resolve to the following beat, and the effect works together nicely. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 3's Battle Against Shredder theme punctuates each phrase with one of these pushes, stretching back the bowstring to send us flying into the next phrase. Of course, melodic rhythm alone isn't enough to fully capture the KKC sound. You also need the other quintessential Konami element, absolutely nutso balutso bass lines. Yes, Konami was all about that bass. The music in these games is supposed to sound loud, fast, and adrenaline pumping, and a lot of the busyness that is required for these goals fell on the bass channel's shoulders. To that end, 16th note lines, syncopated rhythms, huge leaps, and breakneck tempos are all basically universal bassline features. Gradius 3's In the Wind starts with the bass acting more like a drum part. The high and low octaves of the bass note are placed like the kick and snare would be in a drum groove. When we move into the busy syncopated section later on, the bass goes absolutely wild, catching the rhythm of the melody but filling it in with all sorts of tasty 16th note licks. With limited voices at their disposal, composers of early game music had to find ways to avoid the music feeling too empty. But on the flip side, all that musical space allowed the bass to expand, with bass lines that would never fly in typical live band arrangements, even if the bass player could physically pull it off. The Snake is Caught music from Metal Gear crowds the low end with this busy bass line. The chords are grounded by mostly root notes on the beat, but the galloping offbeats fly up to different notes to create a line that feels melodic as well as extreme. Such busy lines at such a high speed is almost overwhelming, but this translates to a feeling of high octane intensity. But busyness without order doesn't work. You can't just throw notes at the page. These lines have to be organized around coherent, overarching rhythmic ideas. Going back to the jungle theme from Contra, the bass line at the start is relentless, but if we break it down, we see it's actually structured around a Tresillo rhythmic pattern. Let's isolate the bass line. If we layer a Tresillo rhythm on top, we see that the bass line accents the notes in these rhythmic positions. The line starts on beat 1, it resolves down to the root of the chord on this anticipation, leaving rhythmic space after it to give the resolution some air, and then this last 8th note beat carrying us back to the downbeat to start the Tresillo pattern again. Starting the line on the 5th and landing on the root on this anticipation resolves the line melodically right where the Tresillo resolves rhythmically, accentuating the rhythm further and making the groove more powerful. The rhythm repeats, but every 2 bars we get a rhythmic conclusion, a variant of our Scotch Snap rhythm, the 16th to dotted 8th push, with an added 16th note at the very end approaching the start of the following phrase. If we simplified the line down to its rhythmic skeleton, it would sound like this. When we add back the decorations, you can feel that the rhythmic character hasn't changed, it's just been cranked up a couple notches. This bass line hits so hard, it's sophisticated, it's high energy, and most importantly, it's badass. The melody on top is harmonized in perfect fourths throughout. This is a very common arrangement formula used by the KKC, minor pentatonic melody, harmonized in fourths, sailing over top of an absolutely psychotic bass line. We see the same approach used in Contra's waterfall area theme too. A fun twist on that formula comes in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Underwater theme, which has a floaty F blues scale melody harmonized in fourths over top of a busy bass line, but in a bouncy 12/8 time signature. These melodic figures at the end are bluesy on their own, but moving the bass around to these out-of-key root notes underneath turns them into borderline jazz fusion. The Metal Gear boss battle theme's bassline is just a relentless stream of 16th notes, undergirding the low melodic riff harmonized in perfect fourths throughout. Notice the Tresillo-like rhythmic anticipation used in each bar for added drive. These perfect fourth harmonizations sound nice and thick on the NES hardware. With continuous perfect fourth harmonizations, you almost don't hear the bottom voice at all. It just combines into the top line to make it sound larger than life. Now, the last technique I want to cover is used as a musical exclamation point, a way to bring any phrase to a thrilling climax. I call it the filled-in 4/3. Not a great name, but it is a great move. A 4/3 rhythm is simply when you fit 4 evenly spaced notes into 3 beats, which adds up to being at least 4 dotted 8th notes in a row. This relates to the Tresillo rhythm that we've talked so much about. A Tresillo rhythm is basically starting a 4/3 polyrhythm and just resetting the rhythm to land back on the beat every 2 beats. A filled-in 4/3 involves taking that rhythm, accenting it, and then filling in the spaces in between with 16th notes. That gives you this kind of figure as we see in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 3's Battle with Shredder music. The bass dipped down to these low Fs to mark the accents and then filled them in with higher F notes, while the top line took this moving F minor pentatonic melody in a 4/3 rhythm and filled it in with repeated lower F notes. And then the whole thing's harmonized in perfect fourths, naturally. This figure is what kicks the music up into the next gear, transitioning from the normal melody and bass section into these wild diminished chord runs. In the Snake is Caught music from Metal Gear, this type of figure is used as the melody of the tune, but it starts the 4/3 accents on beat 2 of the bar and then carries through and resolves on beat 4 of the next bar. This level of intensity makes sense for a piece that cues when your cover gets blown. Layered over top of the galloping bass line, we get this cool, interlocking rhythmic thing that perfectly captures the panic of trying to escape out of the guard's view. Contra's waterfall theme uses this kind of figure, starting on an offbeat, as a payoff for the building tension of the melody directly preceding it. And Castlevania 3's beginning level theme uses this as a fill to bring you into the climax of the piece. All of the energy pent up by the figure rocketing you into the next section. That bass drop with the driving Tresillo melody over top and the gothic horror harmony is Castlevania music at its finest. It's shocking to me how similar the musical aesthetic can be on all of these different soundtracks and how they can all still sound so distinct. That adrenaline-fueled, fist-pumping, bicep-flexing bravado runs through each game's music, but not getting in the way of each game's musical identity. Keeping a consistent sound and quality across so many soundtracks, while also letting the individual composers working on any given game put their own personalities into the music, is a commendable feat, and I have to give the Konami Kukeiha Club their due. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much to my patron, Time Loves a Hero, for suggesting this topic. He's also a great moderator at the official 8-Bit Music Theory Discord server, where they have weekly composition challenges that you can take part in, and it's a pretty cool time. You can get all of the transcriptions you saw in this video on my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.